Good evening, or maybe we should say like, heart, or swipe right, because that's how a lot of us communicate nowadays. In our Pulse of America tonight, there's a pretty good chance everyone watching right now has a Facebook page. 2.9 billion people do globally. Also a good chance you have a smartphone, and you probably get an alert once a week telling you how much screen time you're averaging. And if you're like me, you're horrified by that number. Yesterday, my screen time was 6 hours and change. I have no idea how that happens, but it does. And it does for teenagers even more. According to a report in Insider, U.S. teenagers may spend as much as 9 hours per day looking at screens. And tonight, we have new insight into how damaging it can be, especially for teenage girls. Here's a headline from the Wall Street Journal. Facebook knows Instagram is toxic for teen girls. The influencers, the perfect bodies, the idyllic lifestyle, the fear of missing out. Some 22 million American teenagers log on to Instagram each day. Researchers inside Instagram, which is owned by Facebook, found 32% of teen girls said that when they felt badly about their bodies, Instagram made them feel worse. It's not necessarily surprising that Instagram is harmful to young teenage girls, but now we know Facebook has known it. We all depend on our phones. We're almost addicted to them, and social media knows it. As the Journal article points out, they also know we can't seem to quit. And that's where we start tonight. Joining me now, Social Flow CEO Jim Anderson and business and technology journalist Shibani Joshi. Both of them are parents. Shibani, let's start with you. I don't know how old your kids are, but if they're old enough to be on Instagram, would you let them?
I am trying to push that away as long as I can. My oldest daughter is 11. She's very familiar because her friends have accounts on Instagram. She's pushing me to get her an account, and I keep saying no because of the news that we heard today is no surprise. I think about this, Joe. I mean, you spend 6 hours a day on social media or on the internet. I do the same, probably more, and I come away feeling pretty crummy when I see how perfect people's lives are. Now think about applying this onto young, impressionable young girls. 32% of teens say that when they felt bad about their bodies, they felt worse by looking at Instagram. I mean, this is stuff that we know, and now we're just getting it quantified. And I think this is something that we should be taking very seriously.
Jim, we met one of your daughters, and I'm curious how you handled it and what you would tell parents who are trying to navigate this right now.
Yeah, Joe, I do have a 17-year-old daughter. You met her, and she is on Instagram. And, good luck trying to keep her off of Instagram. Right. So I think that's one of the challenges we face. I've been dealing with social media for more than a decade, and I've always thought it's kind of a mirror of society, right? If you want to see why is there such polarization and negativity on Facebook, well, look at society. Look at politics right now. The challenge, I think, and we're seeing this with these statistics, is it's become a little bit of a funhouse mirror. It's very distorting, right? And so the fact that we've got these algorithms, we've got these devices, within a foot of us, most, 24 hours a day, really just distorts things. And I think it really becomes a problem that teenagers have a hard time controlling, parents have a hard time controlling, and ultimately we have to rely on the platforms such as Instagram to really get a handle on this.
Shibani, it's almost like it's new every year. You have a different age of kids who are discovering this brand new world. And as Jim pointed out, it's really hard, if not impossible, for them not to want to be a part of it or realize how damaging and dangerous it can be.
Absolutely. There's a peer pressure effect and a social networking effect that runs across the gamut, and it's starting younger and younger and younger. And this is big business to Instagram and to its parent company, Facebook. I mean, that is the angle that I'm always very acutely aware of. I mean, Instagram to Instagram, our teens, our preteens, our business numbers, right? And they need to keep their pipeline growing. They need to make sure that we are addicted, for lack of a better word, that the stickiness is there, that there's fresh content, and that their user base continues to grow. They need more and more young people on there so that people, their numbers continue to generate. They get ad revenues. They continue to make money off of different profit generating ideas, and that is troublesome. And they are trying their best to come up with these different ideas, like the Instagram Lite, coming up with different AI interfaces to make sure that younger people aren't on there. But what everybody knows is that the teens and the preteens want what they can't have, and you're not going to be able to keep them off. It is something that we have to work with technology companies and as parents in dual force to make sure that our kids are safe.
Jim, the other thing Shivani touched on, there's some of the things they're trying to do, or at least considering. I mean, do you give Facebook any credit, at least, for acknowledging that they have studied this? But also, I know they've looked into different things where they maybe try to limit the number of likes you can put on it, different things they're trying. Are they trying enough, and is it working?
Well, I do think they do get some credit for trying. I mean, this report that was written up in the Wall Street Journal was, in fact, commissioned by Instagram. So I don't think they have their heads completely in the sand that this is not a problem. And you mentioned the likes. You know, right now, if you're an Instagram user, you can actually choose to go and hide the likes of your posts. And I think that's actually a pretty powerful feature, right? You can't legislate or force, popularity, right? Popularity is what it is. And if you and I were in high school and I did a post and I got 10 likes and you did a post and you got 100 likes, well, you're more popular, and that's going to make me feel bad. That's been true for a long, long time, long before Instagram. I think Instagram has got a problem, sort of like McDonald's has a problem with obesity and unhealthy eating, right? They didn't cause the problem. It's not their fault per se, but they're a contributor to it, and they have an obligation, especially when you're talking about teenagers and children, to do more to try to combat it.
Right. I think we lost Shivani there. I'm not sure. Either that or that was my screen time that popped up over her face. Jim, the other thing that stood out to me in this article, among many things, was the fact that they talked about this explore button on Instagram and how that can sort of lead, especially young, vulnerable teenage girls, down a rabbit hole of trouble. I mean, there's an algorithm for everything, essentially. Why not try to, I guess, essentially send more positive content?
I think that's a great point. And ultimately, Instagram is a business. I think Shivani was exactly right. And they ultimately need to do what's in their long-term interest. And in general, you don't grow your business by harming your consumers. There have been notable exceptions in the past, but that's not a good long-term growth strategy. So I think what Instagram is doing is trying to understand what can we do. And these kinds of studies that are being written about is part of the journey to try to understand what can we do to reduce some of the negative behaviors. Obviously, we have a business to run. We have business metrics to hit. But how do we make it maybe a little bit less harmful? And I think exactly what you're saying, trying to find the areas that are maybe most problematic and that Explorer feature where, you go in and you basically feel inadequate compared to everybody else. That's a real problem. And I think they recognize that. And this press, of course, is just going to focus their attention that much more on what they need to do.
Right. Shivani, the thing that's really troubling about this, and this is the fallout, are the mental health impacts of these things. I mean, we talk about teenage depression. We talk about even the possibility of suicide. Some of the mental health impacts of these are really devastating.
They are, and they're coming at a really, really crucial time right now as well, when so many of our kids have been isolated from one another. A lot of kids, some kids are not even back in school, and this is their way to reconnect socially. They're doing this even if they're back in the classroom after a year and a half of being isolated from one another. We have mental health issues that we need to be discussing no matter what. And then social media is just adding to the pressure of all of this. And these are the conversations that we need to, as a society, start having with our children also about reality checks. That photoshopped image of that woman or of that man is not real. We need to be teaching that and having reality checks with our children very early on, giving them some ability to exercise self-control, and discipline around technology, which is very difficult. But as a parent, that's something that I also try to put in place for my kids, with screen time limits and at least some sense of involvement. I mean, the responsibility goes both ways, and we know this with big technology companies. You can't rely on them to put all the safety guards into place. We have a responsibility for our children as well.
Jim, this follows a report yesterday that this can be an impact for adults as well. That as you well know, it said that social media isn't necessarily the reason for the political divide in this country, but it has widened it and pushed it, more troublingly, toward violence.
Yeah, it's interesting. These algorithms, which are incredibly powerful and in many ways, kind of amazing, right? It gives you the kind of content you want to see. What I see on Facebook is very different than what you see on Facebook, because we have different interests, different friends, and we respond to different things. So that sounds like it should be a positive, and it generally is a positive. It gives me tailored content suited to me, but it also increases the filter bubble. If I have a particular political view, you have a particular political view, we don't necessarily have to share each other's ideas. I just get my political content, you get your political content, and if it's diametrically opposed, it makes it really hard for us to have a civil conversation.
I just wonder, Shabani, because I've gone through it. Our kids are grown, but some had more trouble with it than others. And looking back on it, it's easy to say, it was just horrible for some of them, the ones who were more into it anyway. And I guess is there something redeeming that we can all look back at and say that there were good things about social media, or are we going to look at it and say it really has impacted and in some ways ruined a generation?
Well, I think that there are definite positive aspects of social media. One thing that I believe is some aspect of social media is here to stay. We're never going to be able to go back to a time, or it might be a different app and it might be a different company, but so many elements of this are here to stay. And just think about how we have connected with one another thanks to the help of social media during one of the most trying periods over the last, who knows how long. I was kept afloat with my community, with my friends, with my family, thanks to the help of social media during the pandemic. If you think about the upsides, there is this ability to connect, to see into one another's lives that during very difficult times like the pandemic make us realize we are thankful for technology, for this ability to have visibility and connection to one another. But again, this reality distortion and the conversations about it are, I think, the next step in really realizing the full potential of social media.
Jim, I know you dive deep into all of these numbers. Is there one platform that is, I guess, descending while others are ascending? And do you think there will be more that will come that will follow these at some point down the road?
Yeah, I don't know about descending. I mean, I think Facebook itself, the blue app, of course, Facebook owns Instagram. That is the gold standard, if you will, 2.9 billion users. And a lot of people say, oh, Facebook is so yesterday, but everybody's on it.
Right.
And I think the one that's ascending, Instagram is certainly doing pretty well, but TikTok is the one. And they're very powerful algorithms. It also happens to be owned by a Chinese company, which introduces a whole other set of concerns, but it is ridiculously popular among young people.
Yeah.
I've gotten on it. I have to tell you, it is very addictive is an overused word, but it is a very enticing app. And before you know it, you find yourself with that screen time. I just spent 30 minutes watching TikTok videos.
Yeah, well, and that's more performance-based. I think the others that are concerning, Instagram in particular, are these body image problems that we've seen. Listen, it's been a great conversation. Thank you both for your time. Social Flow CEO Jim Anderson and business and tech journalist Shivani Joshi. Great to have you both.